with Motivation for Your Monday with my daughter, Sierra Romero.
I'm 20 years old currently. I live in Denver, Colorado when I'm not attending my university, Colorado College. So currently, I guess I'm a college student.
So I'm going to brag about you a little bit. You know, you did very, very good in school academically. You received 2 full ride scholarships to any university in the US that you wanted. You were accepted to Ivy League schools.
Limited, I think it's important to kind of explore like what you're interested in and look for those roots that go beyond like, you know, your family, your school, I guess, like look out into the community itself, push yourself to try new things and to, you know that not everything will work out.
It's interesting because you didn't mention anything about academics.
Getting good grades is important.
What did you learn going through that change overnight from live learning in a classroom to don't come back, you're going online?
I learned one, that obviously nothing's ever static and it shouldn't be. Like there's always change going on and there's always going to be like, things are always going to be different in a sense. You can push yourself to learn about something you're interested in, regardless of what setting you are in.
You are a person who's very interested in social justice. What protests have you been to?
Numerous Black Lives Matter marches and protests. There was a few at like the ICE detention center in Aurora in Puerto Rico when Romero was getting thrown out of office. There was a few like rallies, especially when Trump like issued like the Muslim ban, and then recently the ones going on right now with George Floyd. I think it's important to show up if you can, if you're able to. People are paying attention and they're listening, and I think that's the most important thing.
Why do you care about these situations or issues that don't personally affect Sierra Romero?
It's happening to my fellow human beings. It's happening to people who don't deserve it. The targetization and like oppression of certain marginalized groups is abysmal, and it kind of just leaves me in shock every time. And you look at the news and you're like, oh my God, like this is happening, this is reality, this is what's going on to people. To demand, push change in like whatever ways you can, whether that's protesting, whether that's donating to like certain organizations, whether that's just even like talking about it with your family, trying to like break down whatever like stereotypes that exist. Like it's basically just anything that you can do. And like I think participation takes a lot of different forms, and I think a lot of people don't always like, they think like, oh, if I'm not directly protesting, if I'm not directly in it, like am I part of it? And I think you can be part of it in many different ways, and I think that's always like important.
Changing topics a little bit, you're a creative type.
Well, I see in colors.
That's going in there with the video.
No, I think it's like a good outlet. It's fun, and it's interesting the fact that you can create literally whatever you want, and it's just kind of all up to you. So.
And how did you learn to draw and paint?
I don't know. It just kind of happened. Trial and error. See what you like, see what you don't. Trying out new methods. Yeah.
I'm showing some of your artwork right now on the screen. You also play the piano as an instrument and, toyed with some other things, but I know piano is a real interest right now. How did you learn to play the piano?
Just kind of played around with it, but it was basically just like you'd go into downtown and they have those little pianos out, so you just like mess around on those. And then last summer I got a piano, like an electric one.
What does it feel like when you're playing the piano?
It feels like once you play it enough, it's like some of the keys that just feels like muscle memory almost, and you're just kind of like, your fingers know what they're doing and your brain can like wander off and just like listen. It's fun. I mean, it's not more, I don't focus on me, it's more just like, wow, like the notes, like these are actual sounds that are coming out. And it's like, I think it's extra exemplified because like I was trying to learn some music theory, so it's like you are just trying to figure out like how sounds and notes work together and like what sounds good and what doesn't and why that is. And I think that's more of what like amazed me. And then when you like actually try it out and play something and you can like hear it being reflected, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Who's one of your favorite musical artists and why?
I feel like Kendrick Lamar has always been a staple. I think that he's got important messages, and I think sometimes it can feel like convoluted, and I don't know, like you listen to them and you have to think about it, like always taking it into context, reflecting on historically and contemporary times. Also, his beats are just like really good.
Name off quickly some of the types of artists that you listen to.
Obviously, there's like hip hop, rap, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, all that, Notorious B.I.G., things like that. But then there's also like a whole different side where it's like, like the alternative type of music, slower. There's like some soul type of music like Leon Bridges, Alabama Shakes, surf rock music, which is like the Growlers and the Skeggs. There's definitely a huge Spanish presence music. Like reggaeton, you've got like Bad Bunny, you've got classic like salsa, merengue. It's older like classic rock music, Queen, David Bowie.
Why do you have such an eclectic musical taste?
It's important to kind of look at all genres of music just because like, I don't know, they're all carrying like different messages in a different way.
There was a time when you sang. What did it feel like when you took the stage with the band and you actually sang in front of a crowd?
I like the song, so it's kind of fun. What's great is there's a spotlight usually, so you can't really see the crowd.
If you could tell the world one thing, what would that be?
Sit back and listen to one another. We have our opinions and we're so ready to share them. You're never really going to like challenge yourself or change if you don't like step back for a second, shut up, I guess, and listen to somebody else.
You like to work. Why is that important?
Like I like working because it's like giving me like a different opportunity to learn something. I am contributing with one of my jobs. Like sometimes like my like little social media graphics are posted and I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like I made that. That's out there. People are like, consuming it and liking it and like sharing it, and it's serving a good purpose.
How important is money to you?
Not important.
Why is it important to break the stigma for mental health?
Mental health just isn't talked about, and like the conversation's opening up too, like in recent years it feels like, or maybe that's just like the communities I'm surrounding myself in. It feels like it's starting to become a topic, it's starting to become a conversation, and it's kind of like, okay, this is normal. Like a lot of people have certain like, I don't know, mental health issues, I guess. Like it's just it's normal. And I think like anything, it should just be normalized. It shouldn't be something that you have to hide or something that you have to like put on a college essay or something that you say and somebody tells you like, oh, I'm so sorry about that. Like it should be like, oh, okay, how do we get you resources then? It's okay to not feel okay.
What has been your favorite moment in life so far?
I guess technically last fall, a few of my friends and I, we went cliff diving. Like it was just, I don't know, it was nice and it was enjoyable. It was relaxed. It didn't feel forced, and it was like with really good people.
What is your advice to people on friendships?
Maybe not every friendship is going to work out, but I think every friendship serves a purpose at some point.
You have some amazing friends. Can you tell me a little bit about your Libyan friends that you always call the triplets?
It's Imad, Yassine, and Mohammed. They're great human beings. I met them in high school, still friends with them now. Their entire family is amazing, hardworking. Their mom's from Libya, and she's like the sweetest person I've ever met in my life. They spent some time in Libya post like Gaddafi. Coming back is like a whole different type of thing, especially in like an Islamophobic United States. It's just a whole different type of endurance. It's a whole different type of struggle, challenges, and like overcoming that. They're tolerable. They listen. They, they show up when it's important. They show up in multiple ways. Proud to say all three of them are Daniel Scholars, which is a full ride scholarship. Each one deserves it.
Do you like to read?
I feel like I've been reading pretty much all the time. Books are just easier in the sense that it's like, wow, this is like a whole story. These are like characters, like, people you can relate to. There's important issues being discussed. I think there's just so much to be learned from books. You can have access to read like through your local library. If you have enough money to buy your own books, like, that's an option. You could go to used bookshops, things like that. You could go online to like Google Scholar and find like articles there. Like
on average, how many books do you read a year?
40 to 60 books.
Tell us about your project to learn something every week this summer.
My very good friend and I decided it'd be cool to learn about like one new thing a week. This is our third week, so it's been human trafficking for one, dark matter and dark energy for another, and currently is the apartheid in South Africa. You learn for yourself. You get to, pick up something new. You get to find out like, wow, that's pretty cool. For me personally, I think learning is just like, it's one of the most important fundamental things for you to continue developing and growing as a human being. And figuring out like what you want your place to be in this world. You're being challenged. You have to kind of reconstruct your own ideas.
Where have you traveled in the world?
I've been to Costa Rica, obviously Puerto Rico, Italy, Thailand, Palestine, Spain, France, Morocco, UK, Germany, Switzerland, the Netherlands briefly, France, and Canada. I went to Canada to go see my friend. Serbia and Bosnia. Oh my God.
Why is traveling important?
Well, I think if you travel in a conscious way that's not like, exploiting whatever country you're going to, I think that's really important. And I think that you can learn a lot more about the way in which countries and communities are interacting with each other. We oftentimes only see like one perspective. One of the best examples, like for me personally, was like going to like the West Bank.
Tell us about your dog, Bennie.
Bennie is a lot. She's eccentric. She makes the most absurd noises. And I told myself that I wouldn't get attached to her, and now I brush her teeth twice a day. So
what does it feel like to be attached to something?
It's weird. It's weird. But I don't know, it's kind of nice.
What has it been like having me as your father?
I realize like a lot of my intensity comes from you and mom, but like it's like a specific type of intensity. Like having a father who's like, nothing is impossible, that type of attitude, like it starts to rub off on me. Like, I feel like things are just like, they can be attainable, but I think my boundaries have just kind of been skewed like all over the place at points. And like what I kind of perceive as like what can be done.
What is your one piece of advice for people on how they should live today?
Everybody has to just be like constantly conscious. It's just important to be like conscious and constantly reflecting.
It's been great interviewing you, Sierra.